I'm Lily and welcome to my pretend Vogue beauty secrets, telling you all my beauty secrets for how I change my makeup from winter to summer. So my first secret is face tan. I start putting face tan on like as soon as the sun comes out. Probably should do it in the winter, don't really know why I just start in the summer, but as soon as the sun comes out I just get the face tan feeling. More so when my makeup is off so that I feel good because I do wear quite full coverage. But when my makeup goes on, I always start with a thick moisturiser and an SPF, that's the same all year long. But as soon as the sun comes out, I start using the bronzer drops, mainly because all my foundations are so pale that I have to start using bronzing drops just to warm my foundations up a bit. But I would probably do this anyway because bronzing drops in the summer, stunning, beautiful. I just love anything bronzy, glowy in the summer, not revelationary. But the ones that I use are the Urban Decay Face Bond Luminizer. I love these drops, so it's mainly the applicator that I love. I knew that wearing a white shirt was going to be a very silly idea. God damn my shirt, haven't I? This is probably too many drops as well. I might have to wipe a couple off. I'm so annoyed that I did that. Might have ruined my shirt. Just gonna take some of this off because it's a bit much. That is a hazard of these squeezy bottles on the face because normally I put it on the back of my hand. There's something about putting a bottle on your face in a video that's just really satisfying. Oh, what? Didn't learn from the first time. And apart from my concealer, I am a brush girl for everything. You can see the way that the bronzing drops and the foundation just blends really nicely together as well. It works out as like the perfect colour match for me, especially when I put face tan on. Another secret, not a secret, blending down the neck, especially more so in the summer because we're all using darker foundations. Another secret, not a secret, but everybody in the summer gets really obsessed with like really thin foundations and like concealer makeup and just skin primers and things like that, skin veils. I am a full coverage girl through and through. I have very textured red skin that when it comes to the summer, a little bit of skin veil, a skin tint is just not going to cut it. I still do really like a full coverage in the summer. Granted, this one is more of a medium coverage, but if there are any full coverage girls out there that are like, oh, not the summer season, with these clean girls and their concealers, it's fine. We're still full beating in the summer, just in a really natural kind of way. My concealer stays the same all year round, so I'm going to move on to bronzer. So my bronzer does change quite a bit in the summer because I like it to look more sun-kissed. I do like my makeup in the winter to be bronzy, but I feel like it just looks a bit out of place. If I look like I've stepped off a plane from Spain, you know? I'm such a lover of the Vive cream bronzer. I've almost run out of it and I probably will buy it again because it's just been so good, so creamy, really good for the money. And this is shade medium. I do always go for a shade darker than I probably should because bronzers on pale skin, they're just a bit ashy, they don't show up very well. I like them to be pigmented, I like my skin to be bronzed. So I always start with my forehead, and this makes me feel like I wear a wig when I do this. I'm not wearing a wig, it's just I'm blonde, so I'm always gonna get makeup in my hair, so I hold it like it's a wig to really make sure it's out of my face and that like my fingers are protecting my hair. Another secret, hold your hair like it's a wig. And then I always start on the forehead, mainly because I do have a fringe, so if I use too much bronzer I can just put my fringe over it. So that by the time I get to my cheekbones, the brush has kind of like diffused the amount of product that's on there. And I just go back and forth in circular motions, building it up and then slowly working my way down to my cheekbone. And I am pretty heavy-handed with the bronzer, like I said. I like my skin to look very bronzed. I don't have a lot of rhyme or reason. There's not really any secret when it comes to my actual cheekbones. I've done my makeup for long enough now, I kind of know where they are. I'm not really interested in my skin looking like really chiseled, or my face rather. But I do take it like slightly higher than my cheek hollow, so it does look a tiny bit snatched. But then the secret to my bronzer, particularly to sun-kissed bronzer, is I start to take it underneath, I suppose my eyes really, like, well, not underneath my eyes, but like across my cheekbone. I've got no idea what that bit of your face is called. I suppose it's still a cheek, but I go like just on the inside of my nose and I basically drag all of my bronzer across the centre of my face, and that is where I start to get that really sun-kissed look. So again, I'm going to start from the centre of my face this time, work my way back up the other way for absolutely no rhyme or reason. I just like to make sure the sun-kissedness looks balanced when I start off. Again, back up to my forehead, just using the same motions, and straight away, face tan, bronzing drops, bronzer. I'm looking a bit glowy already. Let's go back down my neck again, just to really make sure that there is no orange line. I will admit that my concealer is a little bit too light for me at the moment, bought the wrong shade, and ski goggles can kind of happen, or sunglass marks, when the bronzer is too dark, concealer is too light happens. So I just tap it through so it really blends in. And another secret, I do just tend to put a bit of bronzer like right under my eyes just to really make sure that there's not that really harsh line. I do still like there to be a bit of contrast, obviously, because I want it to like the bridge of my nose has been like attacked by the sun, but I don't want to look like I've been down a ski slope either. There's a real fine line with this. I always contour my nose like normal, but I am gonna add it in because there's something about contouring your nose in the summer that just looks like it just adds to the bronzy element of it. That sun-kissed, beachy, cute button nose, freckles. So I'm gonna include it in here. And again, I'm using the Vive Cream Bronzer because it's just so versatile. I just go down the sides of my nose and then I create that little tip. And then I use a very old freckle, oh see, bottle's broken. I use a very old freckle pen to do my freckles, need a new one. But I do love a tint because I find they blend out the most when you tap them out. Oh no, you can tell that my freckle tint is old because they're not blending out as normal as they should. Oh no, they look a bit characterised now, don't they? I don't normally do my freckles like this. This is not the way I want it to go. I'm panicking, I'm gonna lose my job. I just don't want to look like Little Miss Muffet or like a strawberry shortcake. And that's what this is giving. I'm just gonna add in a couple more like really small ones. Like beauty secret, if it goes wrong, I just add in a couple more small ones to make it look a lot more natural and just kind of randomise it more and fill those gaps. These are a lot more freckles than I wanted. Oh well. Moving on to blush, I do change my blush in the summer. I like to go for a dark one, obviously because all of my face is darker, my bronze is darker. I need a darker blusher to go along with that, and I really like peachy red tones. I'm not a candy pink blush kind of gal, and these in the summer just look divine. But as we all know, you have to be so careful with these because they are pigmented. So I'm just going to start with one dot. I feel like maybe I've been too scared. Maybe I'll go with more. But I tend to start high on my cheekbones. Look how much that little dot did. Crazy pigment. And then I do start to follow the bronzer line that I did before, like the sun-kissed element, just so that everything is a bit more meshed. I like to go borderline sunburnt. Don't know why, but I just think the blush looks so effective when it just looks really summery as if you'd be in the sun. I feel like I've gone a little bit too crazy on the one side than the other, and if this happens, we just go in with a sponge. We don't panic, and then I go back in again. The blusher and the bronzer, same again. I go in, I take it back out, I put it back in, and I just absolutely adore how cute that looks. Again, I take a bit under my actual eyes just to get rid of that line, and that's where I leave it for now with the bronze and the blush. I'm very much on Addy TikTok right now, and they were talking about creasing under eyes the other day, and I started to implement a different way of doing my setting powder. So first I've been doing my concealer with a brush, which I said earlier I normally do it with a sponge, but I've been doing it with a brush to really get rid of those creases underneath my eyes. And then straight away I don't go in with my powder puff like I've been previously doing. You'll probably have seen me do it a million times if you watch my videos. I go in with a brush. This feels so alien to me still, but it works. And then you kind of like tap out the excess in your hand, go in with the brush underneath just to start with, because to be fair, my powder puff is too big. It's not really doing anything for under my eyes. It does set my powder, but the creasing the other day, it kind of just became something I just got used to. But when I saw Addy going in with a brush first before the powder puff, I was like, this all makes so much sense. I think I just got really complacent and lazy with my routine. And that is one of the best things about being a makeup artist and someone who just loves makeup. I'm always learning, like we are all always constantly learning. Like even the best makeup artists that you watch, they learn something new every single day. Like Addy makes me feel like I'm not a makeup artist because the amount of tips I've learned of him, I'm like, oh my god, how can I actually call myself a makeup artist when he just has so many tips and tricks and so much knowledge? But please still follow me on TikTok for all my makeup tips. I am a qualified makeup artist, I promise. But thank you to Addy for teaching me how to stop my under eyes from creasing as much. Because it's probably always going to happen. It's something we can't get away from, but it means it's going to happen less. And also with my summer makeup, I do feel like being so much lighter with my pressed powder makes so much more sense. My loose powder, sorry. Because I find sometimes the setting powder quite overbearing because they are designed to like bake your skin, and I'm not that far deep into makeup. I have been a makeup artist for years. Baking is not something I particularly enjoy, especially when it comes to more like the naturally makeup-y looks like this. Doing it Addy's way makes it very much more natural and not so full on. I'm going to do my brows next, and the simplest secret is that I do nothing to them. I barely even pluck them. I should, because sometimes they do look a bit unruly, but I just put a bit of dark brow gel through them. This doesn't differ too much from what I do in the winter, but I'm just a bit more fluffy with them and more natural. Like, I just like them to stand out a lot more in the summer. I don't know why. I think it's that like bronzy, beachy, bushy brow element. But yeah, I just like them to look strong and natural and fluffy in the summer. And the way I do that is I do just put the brow gel through my eyes. Through my eyes? I put the brow gel through my eyebrows, and I use a lot more product. I just go through them a lot more, and I tend to direct them more upwards. You could argue that I could laminate them, but I've never really felt like it worked for me. Even like brow wax and stuff I just didn't like, so I'm just happy to just go in with a bit of brow gel, to be honest. The best thing is I got a fringe, so if they look a bit crazy, they get covered anyway. Moving on to eyes. In the winter, I quite like using a bronzer as an eyeshadow, but recently I've really been enjoying a gold highlighter as my eyeshadow. I feel like it just looks summery, like it catches the sunlight. I just use my finger. This palette, if you've been thinking about whether the Dior palette is worth it for you, I think I paid like £40 for it maybe, like 2 years ago, and look how much I've used it. I love this palette so much. At the moment I'm using it for eyeshadow. I use the top 2 shades for my eyeshadow and my inner corner, and I just use my finger. I'm not very fancy with it. I don't think I even use a brush, to be honest, half the time. And then the white shade is the best for inner corner highlight. Like, look at this. I've watched this. I don't know if it's picking up on camera, but in real life it's just very white. It's really bright and I absolutely love it. That is such a summer makeup element. I absolutely love adding inner corner highlight. I feel like it just adds so much. And then obviously the same palette, I just take a little bit down my nose. That is too much down my nose. But then you can just see like how pigmented the palette is. Touch on my things. And I know I did my blusher earlier, but I will do a little bit extra blush on my cheeks. I'm going to use the blush. You can see this palette is very well loved. I do need a new one very soon. I'm starting to hit pan, but I always touch up my liquid blush with a bit of the Dior powder, as well as the bronzer shade to touch up my cream bronzer. The most versatile little palette. I absolutely love it. Could not live without this. So worth the money. Now this little secret, it's not even a secret, but this hasn't changed from my winter makeup. I always do a brown eyeshadow, and I just sketch it into the one corner of my eye, and then I just use my finger to drag that out. I feel like there is just something so beachy about a brown eyeshadow eyeliner, and mixed with like all the sun-kissed skin, I just, it's just so summery. I don't know what it is about it. I'm gonna leave it at that for my eyeliner, but normally, like if I'm going out, I do put a little bit in my waterline, which just elevates the look more for like a night summery look if you're on the beach on a holiday or going out for dinner. So just popped on a bit of mascara. And for lips, recently I've really been in a lip liner, lip oil space. Really holding space for lip oils and lip liners right now. And I love the Refi Lip Sculpt. I got the shade Mauve. I'm not sure if they've started more shades of this now, or maybe it's not the Lip Sculpt. What do I have? The Blur Liner. I do apologise. This is the Blur Liner. And I went for this because I had a lot of things similar to like a tight like lip line. Whereas this, I did really like the blur effect on this. A lot more natural for summer. Can you hear the birds? It's like 5 o'clock when I'm filming this. This is where the birds start to cheep. So cute. Yeah, I just love that it's more than a lip liner really, like especially if I'm just putting oil over the top, it doesn't look like I've got this like really thin like harsh lip line. It like almost looks like a lipstick. And then for lip oils, you might have seen my other reel, but I'm just obsessed with the Sync Beauty lip oils right now. They are a small business and they sent me 3 lip oils. The suction on these are crazy. Beautiful. It's not a shade that I'd normally go for, but when they're on, they look completely different. And they smell delicious. This one is Sunset Kiss, perfect for our sunny sun-kissed bronze makeup. And then obviously to finish my bronze summer, spring, sun-kissed makeup, I'm gonna go in with a bit more bronzer. And this is a powder bronzer from Lancome. And I know this is a bit of a crazy shade. It was sent to me, but I love Lancome so much that I really wanted to use the shade. And I just use like a very light dusting of this. Another secret. To be honest, most shades of makeup, you can use them. You just have to be very light with them. And I say this all the time, that when it comes to makeup, I don't always look at the shades of things, I look at the tones of them. Very much with my blusher, like my blusher looked too dark, but the tone of the blusher is just delicious. So on paler tones like mine, you just have to be less heavy-handed with your hand or your brush. As you can see, like you would not think that bronze shade would work on my skin, but as long as you're light with it, it just looks gorgeous. And it just sets and enhances the lots of blush and bronze that I've already got on there. because I find that by the time I got to the end of my makeup, everything started to like marinate and sink in, so I need to go back in and like enunciate a lot of the, what's the word, emphasize a lot of the bronze and the blush that I've put in. And of course, the same with my blush. I'm going to go in with the, I hate when I say that, I'm going to use the Hourglass Lily Pad palette. And again, what is happening here? And again, this is probably too dark for me. Like when I looked at it, I thought the shade was too dark for me, but it had lily pads on the top, so I had to have it. I'm quite heavy-handed when I'm in the palette because I like to use all the shades, but then when I'm on my face, I just stroke through. See, gorge. And I have to be a lot lighter with the powder because obviously I've already set down my setting powder, so I do have to be quite light not to move my makeup. And one more thing to finish off, I have to use the L'Oreal Lumi Sticks. These are delicious. I'm saying sticks because I had a couple of them, but these are beautiful. I have not used a highlight stick in so many years, but I'm so glad I have these in time for summer because they are just delicious. Just to add that last bit of glow to my cheeks that is already peeking through the makeup, through the moisturiser, the bronzing drops. My blush is quite glowy, but I just like to make myself look as glowy as possible. I like to look like the sun is stood right in front of me and just blasted me, but all faux so that I don't premature age. And that is all my beauty secrets for bronze sun-kissed summer makeup.